Nerdrotic.com.
Greetings, friends. Welcome to the Nerdrotic Nooner, a special Tuesday edition. I hope everybody's having a great day. I spent all of yesterday making that video, and thank you all for watching it. And here I am. There I go. Here I am. Hello. Welcome again to the Nerdrotic Nooner. My name is Gary Beekler. I come to you from Nerdrotic.com here in lovely San Francisco, California. We are under a state of emergency here. The people are panicking on the streets. No, they're not. Not really. Life is going on as usual. We're just being very cautious. Very cautious. But we're not here to talk about that stuff. I am here to take your mind off of that stuff and keep you focused on our mythology being completely destroyed by the BBC in Hollywood. And it is time to sack the BBC. Their responses to the fandom is shameful. It is shameful, it's disgusting, and it is clear what they want to do. And this disingenuous denial that I see in the access media from some of the repurposers, from some of the fans, and some of the producers of the show who go, what? There is a narrative going on right now that I've heard from a couple of YouTubers and I've read in almost every access media article. Well, there's two. There is what they did to Doctor Who adds more layers, more stories. And there's also Chris Chibnall gave you what you want. You wanted two-parters. He gave you two-parters. You wanted more villains. He gave you more villains. Completely forgetting what the main thing was that everybody was asking they removed, which was the partisan politics, the idealism, the ideologue, the preachy ideologue. It's almost religious. It is religious. Their dedication to their idealism, which is elitist, especially from the BBC, and it gets projected through the actual narrative of the timeless child. And I have been paying close attention to the fandom out there, and this is looking very familiar. Very familiar. I want to take you back to, was it 2018? 2018, when The Last Jedi came out. When the movie initially came out, I would say the fandom was split. We had a large portion of the fandom that liked it or thought they liked it, and we had some people who hated it. The anger grew as time went on, when people kind of came to terms with their hypnosis and realized, a large portion of the fandom realized that they were suffering from hypnosis and their eyes were not deceiving them. they did see Luke Skywalker get completely vandalized. The Doctor Who fandom, what's left of it, is going through that now. Now, there are people who have dipped out already, and they're just gone. There's people who are angry. There's people who are sad. The vast majority is sad, and the BBC is laughing at these fans, laughing at them, mocking them. And so is the Access Media. Remember in my initial live stream that I did with the first female Doctor played by Starry-Eyed Girl, Bulls Trek, and then Az came on from Heels versus Babyface, and we had Ian as well from Rebecca Gold. And I said, this is your time, Doctor Who channels and Doctor Who websites, to really come to terms with your hypnosis. And what you will be judged how you react to this show. Now, people will give you time, and if you want to come around, like, listen, Jeremy is a great example. He saw The Last Jedi. He thought he liked it, that he came to terms with it. If you're one of those sites, I totally get it. But it's not like this hasn't been clear for a year. It's not like they hadn't planned this for 2 years, because they had. The Timeless Child was mentioned in the second episode of the first season. According to my insider, this was planned from the beginning. The BBC does not like Doctor Who. It doesn't like past Doctor Who. And the BBC's attitude is, we change it or we get rid of it. So any hopes of it turning around would have to be there would have to be a change in philosophy at the BBC that we've never seen before. Or a private production company would have to take over, or there would have to be a major American influence, because I doubt HBO Max is completely stoked that they purchased a show that is very similar to the ending of Game of Thrones. I doubt they want to go through that twice. Now, the Doctor Who fandom used to be very large. Was it as big as Game of Thrones? Probably not. Are they equal size now? Probably. But it's bigger than Star Trek. And I doubt HBO wants to deal with that. So ignore what you hear in these first couple of months, if people even care beyond this. And that's the other thing, is I'm very happy to see that so many people care. Stay angry, stay pissed, stay vocal, because just remember what the Fandom Menace pulled off. And this wasn't planned. This was a natural, organic thing that happened. Enough people got pissed off and started talking about it, and we had channel after channel start. So many people who are in my chat have started channels now, and that's great. That's fantastic. And we need more of that. There's plenty of space for you here. And by the way, I have a little bit of news concerning YouTube and the rag that rhymes with the word box. Remind me to mention that later. So back to Doctor Who. This is The Last Jedi all over again. And if you want it to change at all, you have to be vocal about it. And you have to be very resolute. And I'll try to keep this to I statements, because I don't want to tell you what to do. But I am not going to help them in any way, shape, or form. Have we done damage to Doctor Who? I would say the critics of Doctor Who getting the word out there prior to the finale did have some effect. Look at the ratings. But as much as I'd love to take credit, I have to give all the credit pretty much to Chris Chibnall for being so predictable in his writing that people just figured it out. Because people are smart. Chibnall doesn't think you are, but you are. So if we want Doctor Who back and we want them to do a major retcon, which I highly doubt will happen. I'll be real, but if we don't try, it's good that there's hope. It's good that there's hope. But right now, as it stands, Doctor Who is dead. R.I.P. Doctor Who. And I watched Az's video today, and it reminds me how angry people are. And I'm on Twitter, and it has not calmed down on Twitter at all. And it's been overwhelming. the praise has completely drowned out the JodieBots and the Dreckies for my channel, and it's great. Thank you. I love it. I love you guys, and nothing changes if we sit on our ass and not say anything. There are people out there, there are fans, channels, access media websites. I talked about the disingenuousness. They're going, what? Things aren't that bad. Yeah, they are. What happened to Doctor Who was worse than what happened to The Last Jedi. And you wouldn't recognize that if you weren't a Doctor Who fan. And I don't even feel it as bad as the people in the UK. And what we Americans don't understand is Doctor Who is woven into your DNA as a culture over there. More than Star Wars is here. And so, the U.S. audience doesn't really understand, there used to be a saying, baseball, apple pie, or hot dogs, baseball, apple pie, and Chevrolet. That was kind of America. It was part of a commercial. But, you think of America, you think of baseball, you think of mom, you think of apple pie. Same thing for the UK. You think of Doctor Who, Monty Python, the Beatles. I'll add Pink Floyd, but, it depends on your taste. What's up, official Dougie J? Anger is an energy. Johnny Lydon says, the official Dougie J, my oldest friend. What's up, Dougie? Yes, anger is an energy that we need to feed off of, and we need to pile on. We need to pile on and make them rethink this decision. We'll see what happens. It's worth a try. But I was just kind of resolute to let it die and walk away, and I'm not going to watch the show, and I don't want anybody to watch the show. But, there is the danger of just apathy setting in, and then it's dead. And again, what Critical Drinker said is Chris Chibnall proved all of his critics right. That's the part I don't want to be right about. I don't want the show to be dead. But as it stands right now, it is. They can commission it for 10 more goddamn years, and there'll be 10 people watching. And that'll be Chris Chibnall and his relatives. So, man, it's so bad, though. It's so bad. And I keep remembering new things. I watched the episode a lot. I watched it like 5 times. So it's ingrained in my brain now. And how much of the middle finger was indeed put into that narrative of the show. It's stunning. It's stunning. It's breathtaking. The anger that was put in that. They are well aware that they write a show that is mostly hated. Mostly hated. I'm very curious to see, we'll never find out, what the actual number of hate watchers were for the show. I was looking at the American ratings, and man, did they fall off a cliff. And the percentages are equal to the UK. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. And they may be coming for Star Trek too. Now, we do have a little bit of Star Trek Picard news. I was watching Robert Meyer Burnett's live stream earlier today, and Mark Bernard is going to be a supervising producer on Star Trek Picard Season 2, if there is one. Again, we know they've gotten the green light, but they haven't gotten into production. There's a writer's strike, and then there's the issue of who's going to pay for it, because apparently that's in question. I don't know this for a fact. That's according to insiders. Again, I don't know. Mark Bernard, I think that's his last name. Robert Meyer Burnett seemed happy about it. I can't say I'm super familiar with all his work. But the fact remains, as long as Alex Kurtzman is the EP, as long as he is in charge, that producer will just do what he says. And they are currently deconstructing Picard just like they deconstructed Last Jedi, just like they deconstructed Doctor Who. It's almost like it's a conspiracy. But it's not. It's just like-minded individuals wanting to replace Western canon with something else that won't fit. It is the very definition of a square peg into a round hole. Very definition of it. All right, let's get to you guys a little bit. Welcome again. Sorry this is late. I'm going to try not to step on the High Council tonight. We've got a lot of stuff to cover, though. And yes, so one of the things I wanted to cover was during Robert Meyer Burnett's stream, he was talking about Quibi or Quibble or and I had never heard of it, but apparently it's supposed to be a competitor for YouTube. And it is proof Hollywood is losing. And once these streaming wars are done, it's going to be a wasteland. There's going to be survivors. There's still going to be a lot of money. But the fact that Jeffrey Katzenberger conned a bunch of people into giving him money to create a competitor to YouTube that's only going to, it's a gatekeeper competitor. It's only, basically it's calling YouTube crap. And it says, if you want quality entertainment, well, we're going to have actual actors and producers, and it's going to be 10-minute pieces of entertainment that are 10-minute long, 10-minute episodes of television, 10-minute episodes of Punk'd and stuff like that. And wow, you want to talk about a failure before it even starts. But that's not even the interesting part. And Robert Meyer Burnett just blew past the most interesting part of this. I'm not worried about it at all. For one, it's a pay service, so you can't compete with YouTube because YouTube's free. And they want you to watch commercials and pay for it. And it's going to be Ashton Kutcher rehashing a show from 20 years ago. Not worried about it. You know what? And I was thinking, like, do I want to watch Avengers Endgame again, or would I rather watch The High Council? I'd rather watch The High Council. Do I want to watch Ant-Man again, or would I rather watch a Midnight's Edge live stream? I'd rather watch a Midnight's Edge live stream, to be honest with you. Or a Doomcock live stream. And there's no way they can compete against this. But the biggest news is who is partially funding this venture. Now, this article that Robert was reading out of was an older one out of Verge. And apparently Verge is going to be possibly doing a show on Quibi or Quibble or whatever the hell it's called. Well, Verge is owned by Vox. Vox is partially involved in a competitor to YouTube. What did Vox do? Well, I think we all know what Vox did. They caused one of the biggest adpocalypse here on this platform, conflating a bunch of other YouTubers, costing them hundreds, thousands of dollars because of the Steven Crowder thing, which didn't involve other YouTubers. And quite frankly, Steven Crowder didn't do anything wrong. And they took away a revenue source from him. And they took away revenue sources from other channels. They nuked channels. All for this other guy who doesn't work there anymore and is now on YouTube. And then Vox is part of a competitor. YouTube. This is for you. This is for you, Susan. YouTube, I'm going to use a very bad analogy here. YouTube is the late blooming hot chick. So the late blooming hot chick still has her old circle of friends, and her old circle of friends are now jealous as hell that their friend, who was the ugly little duckling, has blossomed into a perfect 10 model. And the perfect 10 model feels guilty about this. And her friends are jealous. So she's playing into their jealousy. That's what Susan is. YouTube needs to understand what it is. Realize what it is. The big fucking Mac daddy on the internet. They need to kneel to no one. The advertisers need to kneel to them. Because this will be one of the last bastions of advertisement once broadcast television completely crashes and burns. People are used to watching ads on YouTube. So and Susan buckles under the peer pressure of her friends who are her competitors, who are largely legacy media, who are on their way out the door. And what more proof do you need than Jeffrey Katzenberger, who is like old school dinosaur, Hollywood executive. I think he was also a partner in maybe Geffen Records. I can't remember. But he's part of DreamWorks. And yeah, so he's funding Quibi or Quibble, and we've never heard of it. They had a Super Bowl commercial, apparently. And they're going to partner with Fox. So I don't know if Quarter Black is out there and he heard that, or if Steven heard that, but I thought that was the most interesting information out of that whole thing. I'm not worried about the platform, but that might be the motivation behind what they did. It couldn't be about money, could it? No, not at all. Don't I think Susan looks tired? Poor Susan looks tired. Listen, I have nothing against Susan. The only thing I ever ask is give me that set of rules that I know, then I will live by them. Give me some succinct rules that I can live by. That's all. I'm very grateful for this platform. This is the best job I've ever had. This is fun. I get to have fun every day. And that's thanks to you guys. And thanks to YouTube, So, but no, I'm not worried. I do want to tell you that I might be taking my first sponsor. I know. But it's Audible. It's something I actually use more than any app on the planet. I haven't completely decided yet, but I'm thinking about it. I like Audible. I listen to audiobooks every day at the gym before I go to bed. Listen to Lord of the Rings or Song of Ice and Fire or some weird UFO book. And that one's for free. Now, with Doctor Who, freaking Doctor Who, I didn't want to run out and tell people to burn their licenses or anything, because I don't know if you can get in trouble. I don't know, but I watched Az's video today, and I agree with what he said. Just cancel it. Go through the process of canceling it. You don't need it. There's plenty of entertainment out there right here on YouTube that you don't need a license. They are not representing a large portion of the British population. And you know what? It probably feels a lot like that government that they backed away from as well. When you start ignoring large portions of your population, they tend to get a little angry. People want to be heard. It's important. You don't have to do everything they say. When we were asking Doctor Who to be less politically correct and partisan, we're not asking you to change your politics. We're simply asking you to consider the other side and try to have a little fun. Doctor Who has not been fun for quite some time. Season 10 of Capaldi wasn't fun, and 11 and 12 were about as far away from fun as you can possibly get. They were mean, vindictive. It was vindictive. Problem being for $1.99, BBC participation medal. And there it is. He shows it off. Yep. Jodie Nerdrotic picture confused my sexuality, says Nerdroticer. Jodie Nerdroticer. Yes, that thumbnail is I dedicated to the JodieBots with love. Kisses. Ooh, that's French, isn't it? Or something. £1.99. Yeah, so the first, the video that came up today, and thank you, I've gotten a lot of response, so thank you very much. I'm going to try to read some emails. Over the week, I'm going to read all of the emails that you guys sent to me. I'm going to read some on Friday Night Tights. I'm going to read some for the Nooner tomorrow. Apologies to our friends in the UK. I know it's late, so I'm going to do another one earlier tomorrow. We're going to try to read some emails. You guys are broken heart. It's sad. It really is sad. And I want to cheer you up somehow. But people are broken hearted about this. And the BBC just gaslit the fandom with their responses. You know what? I'm sorry you got yourself attached to a particular idea in Doctor Who. You know, that particular idea of William Hartnell being the first Doctor. That's just a particular idea. A particular fucking idea. Nefarious technology for $10. Anybody else see the Jodie pic screaming into the chest of your cyber girl as ironic? Like, you got its. Let me read this again. Anyone else see the Jodie pic screaming into the chest of your cyber girl as ironic? Like, you got it, you anti-ist. Or maybe I'm just overly tired. You're not. No, you're not. That's what it is. You got it, you anti-ist. We're all ists and phobes. That's all we are. We're istophobes. We're not fans. I don't have a few $1,000s worth of Doctor Who stuff on a wall. Your predictions on Doctor Who were astounding and brilliant, says Lee Anthony Davis for £1.99. Why, thank you. Thank you, Lee. I didn't want him to be right. And it's going to get worse next year. They are going to quadruple down. Trust me. Unless I don't know. The BBC doesn't work like an American company. The Phantom Menace freaked out Disney. Which is, well, Bob Iger's gone. Still curious about that, aren't you? I mean, he bails out in an afternoon. And as more time passes, we realize that nobody was ready for this. This was a last minute thing. Still don't know on that one. There's obviously something. Either he's got something else set up, or somebody had some dirt on him, or something. I don't know. It's pure speculation. Or maybe he was just ready to go in the middle of the afternoon and he looked like he was crying. Dan Coggin for £4.99. Hello, Gary. Keep that stiff upper lip. I've written a Who episode. Doctor Who sat on the loo whilst doing a poo, eating stew out of his shoe. The end. Dan, that is better than any episode that I watched in the last 2 years or 2 seasons. Absolutely. Much better. Bravo, Dan. £4.99. See, the British, they're just smarter. Or maybe most, I don't know. I mean, I've been kicked out of 3 high schools, so a lot of people are smarter than me. It's fine. I'm used to it. I'm like the wind blown. I just kind of breeze through life. Wherever the wind blows me, I go. Quoting John Hurt himself, no more. Sergeant Shelby for £2. Look, like, people are still pissed. It has been 10 days. It's been 10 days since Doctor Who passed. Doctor Who had been, the Doctor has passed. The Doctor died on March 1st, 2020, after battling a 4-year battle of a viral strain of, what did I call it again? It's a viral strain. I got to look at Idealists. Let me get to I just got completely distracted. Isn't that great? Right in the middle of a live stream. I can't even remember. Idealitis. That's right. Doctor Who passed away on March 1st, 2020 after a 4-year battle with a smug strain of viral idealitis. He will be missed. Yeah, it's just, never look at Twitter on a live stream. It's just the most distracting thing in the world. I just saw something. I guess a JodieBot got through. Never mind. Dr. Coffin Nails for $5. To be fair, I talked to somebody today who likes new Doctor Who. He's one of my clients, and he suffers from schizoaffective disorder. So consider the source. Schizoaffective disorder. I don't even know what that is. Dr. Coffin Nails. Yeah, I've heard from a lot of people who like it. Maybe that's a disorder of supporting a belief system, because that's the only way you could like this. It's not entertaining. It's not good. Objectively, it's horrible writing. Boris is coming for the BBC, but thank you, Dr. Coffin Nails, for the $5. Project I don't know my Roman numeral, so I'm going to say 17 for £5. Boris is coming for the BBC. We will get justice for what they do to our beloved Doctor Who. The justice will be it dying, and I think the BBC is okay with that. I think we're going to change it. We're going to make it our thing, or it's dead. We're good either way. They need to save a lot of money. I know that. I was watching a Sargon video where they had to cut 18 million pounds, and they sacked a bunch of news people. Really sad how much the BBC gutted the hardcore OG fans, says Nettle Nerds for $2. What's up? What's up, gents? Yes, they kicked you in the balls repeatedly. Kicked us in the balls repeatedly. And they're not sorry about it at all. This is the response they wanted. It sucks to hear this, but they wanted this because they knew they had nothing else. We're like, well, we can't tell a good story because we're a bunch of hacks. So let's subvert everything and piss everybody off, and it'll be just like Star Wars. And frankly, Star Wars benefited for a little while from The Last Jedi Backlash because they were able to control the narrative for a little while with the access media. So they had their little partners circling the wagons, and they were able to work that to their advantage. But then they realized their mistake. They kept on stoking the fires of fandom, and they didn't realize that fandom is rather large, and a lot of us have been around for a long, long time. And the ones who had been around for a long, long time were kind of quiet at first. And then we all started getting involved because we've kind of seen this stuff before. I bring this up a lot, but it's worth, Robert Meyer Burnett brought it up in his live stream too, and I'm glad he did. Using comics as an analogy for entertainment, because everything that's going on in entertainment has happened in comics. And actually in the music industry as well. So we've seen examples of this before, and that's why so many of us fans could come out and say, yeah, this thing's dead, and be pretty confident about it. Because, Metallica. Metallica is Metallica as popular as they were in 1991? Of course not. But they were at the peak of their entertainment. They were at the zenith entertainment of their popularity. The zenith of their popularity. Now, there's the law of diminishing returns. That would hit them anyway. But they cut themselves short a little too soon by a couple of things. Not getting out content soon enough and making it, well, for one, ironically, making an album called Load. That was a load. But coming out after Napster. That pissed off a lot of fans, and they never recover. I mean, you bring up Metallica, they'll be like, F them, Napster. I mean, it was 20 years ago, and people, that's what they're going to remember Metallica for. That becomes your legacy. Dan and Dave. Are Dan and Dave going to be remembered at Game of Thrones for the first 4 seasons that were really well adapted? Great seasons of television. No, of course not. They're going to be remembered for 3 episodes in season 8. Is Chris Chibnall going to be remembered for Broadchurch or his work on Torchwood? Hell no. He's going to be remembered for killing a franchise. Alex Kurtzman, you can kind of pick your poison. He hasn't done anything good, but you can weigh his bad deeds against each other. It's like, what's a bigger F up? The Mummy? Killing Spider-Man? And killing Spider-Man's pretty big. But how many people can say that they've killed 2 major franchises? Now, of course, you can't kill Spider-Man, but like failing with Spider-Man's a big deal. But I think it's bigger to kill Star Trek. And while we're in the middle of the streaming wars, and the people in the UK might not understand because you have ITV, right? You have ITV and you have Netflix and all that stuff. But here in the US, everything, the whole future of entertainment is put in the basket of streaming. And that's the future. And if you don't survive in the streaming wars, you're dead. You're going to have to partner up with one of your competitors, sell off. You're going to start seeing that in the next couple of years. I can make an argument that the streaming wars might already be over. Everybody predicted Netflix's death. Netflix had such a head start on everybody. They will be fine. Netflix and Amazon are going to be fine. It's going to be who's left. Now we're finding out through the Bob Iger thing that buying Fox was probably not the best idea in the world. Fox was about to implode. So Rupert Murdoch got one over on Disney and sold them a bag of goods, basically. Disney had to shit can a bunch of Fox films. Also, Disney can't make rated R content right now, which is going to be a big problem for them in the future. But yeah, it's a big problem. They just bought Star Wars. They just bought Marvel. And they didn't pay out of pocket for these things. And while Marvel's been great, Star Wars has not. And they were relying probably on a lot more Star Wars money. And they went and bought Fox, which might be one of the biggest mistakes they've ever made. And good, because I don't think it should have happened. I'm really happy the X-Men are going to be completely subverted at the MCU. The X-Men that you are going to see in the MCU are not going to, believe me, you'll be wanting the Fox X-Men back by the time the MCU is done with it. People, just watch. I mean, people, there'll be deniers out there, but when they cast a Robert Pattinson-like actor for Wolverine, you'll know what I mean. I mean, I think the Eternals is a good sign of it. So the subversion of everything is on, and the only way we're going to stop it is by just not buying it anymore. It's the only way things change. It works in comics, but it's a much smaller level. Comic sales die. Believe me, Marvel has pulled the plug on a lot of stuff now. Of late, they really want Captain Marvel to work, but it just doesn't seem to happen. It doesn't seem to happen. A Doctor Who STD and worst French accent Picard ever have forgotten that the first and foremost they are first and foremost sci-fi shows, not vehicles for political correctness. Says Sean Kesey for £5. You are correct, Sean. Absolutely correct. And the attitude they take towards taking on these sci-fi franchises. The bankers, and I've been saying this a long time, they don't understand when genre, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books, when we were the niche little thing, the bankers didn't give a shit about us. And that was a good thing. But now they're coming in, and just look at everything that has gotten popular that the bankers and investors have gotten involved with, and they deplete it. Baseball cards, comic books, the music industry. That stuff is still around, but it's used up. It gets used up and burnt out. You can't just make a sci-fi show. That's just, you can't go out and go, I'm going to make a sci-fi show. You can try working with something in that premise, but you need to have the premise, you need to have the story first. You can't go, I'm going to make sci-fi show, or I'm going to make Star Trek, and that's automatically sci-fi, and we'll just get some soap opera writers, and it should work because we got spaceships in space. That's all there is to sci-fi, right? It's just spaceship and space, and then we'll use some, we'll bring in some modern politics because that's what Star Trek does. They're modern allegories, and we'll just, we'll do, let's see, what do we want to do? Brexit and Orange Man. Yeah, that's, let's do that. And we'll throw some laser beams in there, and the Star Trek nerds, those nerds will just eat it all up. And, we'll be able to continue riding around in our yachts, snorting coke off the butt crack of our favorite hooker. But it doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work like that. And, we don't want to put the ladies and gentlemen of the night out of work. Okay. We don't. I'd be okay with the coke dealer being put out of work, but that's an honest living. But we want them to make good stories, and then you can go back to your yachts and whatever you're doing. I don't care. I don't judge, man. Go live your life, but quit effing with the thing that all of us use for a very important escapism. There's a thing going on in the world right now. This is a very important time for escapism. When Hollywood and the BBC were atomic vinyl reviews That's why I put that big long piece in my video. His whole review is just all passion, and I love it. But his take was perfect. You know, Chris Chibnall, Alex Kurtzman, Jar Jar Abrams, Rian Johnson, after they saw the backlash, they could have extended the olive branch. Again, nobody's asking them to change their politics, but they could have tried to win over the fans who were dissenting at the time. But instead, they want to be reactionary. They want to double down, and they want to make it worse. When, somebody confident in their abilities would just go, shit, I'll just charm the shit out of these people. That's a talented person. That's a talented, confident person. Instead of pushing people away, win them over. Win them over with your charm. Don't be so goddamn vindictive in all of your storytelling. And you'll find that we fans, we're fickle. We are, but when we love something, we love something. We love it to death. That's why things last for decades. Nothing Chris Chibnall or Alex Kurtzman can make will last because they approach Doctor Who and Star Trek like they're widgets, just like Jar Jar did, just like Rian Johnson did. And, credit to Rian Johnson. He came out and admitted he doesn't give a shit about Star Wars canon. Well, duh. We could figure that out, dude. There's people who have Rian Johnson's politics that don't feel the need to inject it in their stories. I guarantee you, Peter Jackson is probably left-wing. Just a guess. But go watch, I've mentioned this before, but watch the special features on the Lord of the Rings discs. And it's filmmaking 101. They didn't want to inject any of their politics. They filmed everything at the same time. It was consistent. They were limited on budget, and they loved what they were doing. It was a very simple formula that Hollywood has a hard time repeating. That also happened on The Matrix. They were limited on budget, but they were like a really close unit, and they all worked together, and you could tell that everybody was into the project, and they got a great movie came out of it. GS Power 345 for $1.99. I don't know how Chibs and Jodie can sleep at night. They sleep in a cloud of their smugness, their smelly little smugness. I watched a few Jodie Whittaker interviews, and I don't want to speak for all Americans, but maybe it's just the British accent makes you sound a little more intelligent. But Jodie is about as empty-headed as every other actor. Brad Pitt, I don't want to pick on the women. I mean, Brad Pitt is got the brain of a Zeppelin. It's just gaseous in there. But I like Brad Pitt. I do. He's not a keen intellect, and that's okay. He's a very good actor. Better than, he can pretend way better than I can. Okay. And I'm not saying I am a genius either, but I'm not going to want to have physics broken down to me by Brad Pitt or Jodie Whittaker or anything. I don't want them to explain to me any laws, a ballot, nothing. Just pretend. Don't work on my car. Nothing. CM Shazam for $2.99 says fist bump with a little blue chicken. What's up right there? Fist bump, man. But yeah, after watching the interview, she just, for one, all of her interviews, that's what I mentioned it in the video because she was just delivering a line. She said the same thing in every interview, almost word for word. Good storytelling is told through relatability and representation. No, it's just relatability. Everything else comes after relatability. That relatability comes from the human condition. Again, I bring up the analogy. I don't relate to a Southern California cheerleader in any way, shape, or form, but it just so happens to be one of my favorite TV shows, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I am not a vampire, nor do I know any, but I like Angel. I thought it was a really good show. It's more of a superhero show than a vampire show, but nonetheless, I like Angel. I think it had the best last season of television in the history of television, and one of the best endings in the history of television. Nor do I know what it's like to be a Jedi or climb on walls or wear tights and solve crimes and fight bad guys and fight injustice. I don't relate to any of that other than I can root for a heroic figure, no matter what that figure looks like. And I don't care. Honestly, don't care what they sleep with or what color their skin is. But we all know that. That's a narrative. I mean, the fact that they're still trying to push the narrative of the ist and the phobe it's laughable at this point. And it just shows that their argument's been done for a long time. We've been right for a long time. They're just fighting it. I don't know why. We just want to give them money. It's like, you don't want money? Okay. All right. Well, can you give it to somebody else then? And then it comes down to the most important thing. This isn't about, it is political agenda, but it's related to ego and insecurity. That's the fact. There's no vast conspiracy in Hollywood. In the BBC, I don't know. I think there might be a little bit of a conspiracy. But in Hollywood, it's all about ego. It's all ego driven and wanting to be right. And the need to be right actually matters more than pay to an actor, because it's about image. Woke Hollywood is also starting to interfere with anime now too. God damn it. I thought that would stay free. Script changes to the English releases and censoring. Nicholas Horton for £5. I've heard some of that through my friends That Umbrella Guy and Yellow Flash. They cover the anime, and just from listening to them, I know nothing about it. I used to sell manga, but I didn't read any of it. I would have an employee there. I would usually hire somebody who knew something about it so they could sell it, because I didn't know anything about it. But yeah, I've heard stuff on their videos. They've been covering it pretty well, and it has to do with the voice actors, those really well-adjusted voice actors who got jealous of another voice actor and decided to cancel this person because he's a touchy-feely Italian person. Listen, I mean, I don't hug everybody, but I'm the kind of guy who like pats you on the back, go, "What's up, buddy?" I mean, I just do it. I mean, is that bad now? That's probably bad now. Zachary Shaw for $4.99. How high were the viewers when the show was originally canceled under the Seventh Doctor? Zachary, it was similar to what it is now, but it was a different time. So I had the list up, but the seasons that were below this one were, I believe it was 4.69 million, and that's average. That's average. And it was all Sylvester McCoy, I believe. I think no. Yeah, it was. I think it was all Sylvester McCoy. I'm going off the top of my head. I don't know. But it was towards the end. The very, very end. In the late 80s. But before that, it was always in the 7-8 million viewer neighborhood. I mean, which is astounding for like 20 years straight. It was a solid hit show. A solid hit show. And it's because they were forced to be imaginative, because they didn't have any money, and it's some of the best acting and storytelling I've ever seen. Plus, and I've talked about this, it hits that sweet spot of tone. It's not too silly. It's not too dark. It's just perfect. So much Doctor Who is just perfect. You can always, it was the best thing to play in my store. I stopped playing, like I used to constantly play Justice League Unlimited, Batman the Animated Series, Spider-Man the Animated Series, or superhero movies. And for the last 4 years I was in business, I played nothing but Doctor Who, unless I did a screening for like Game of Thrones or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or something like that. I remember I screened Game of Thrones season 3 premiere at my store. It was season 3, right? Yeah, that's when Ghost saved Sam from the White. So long ago. Stay away from Alter Carbon season 2, brother. It's woke and nothing makes sense. Kovacs isn't played as Kovacs. Poe has more humanity than all of the cast, says Oberon for 50 Danish krona. Yeah, Mrs. Nerdrotic had some pretty harsh criticisms for it. Essentially saying it was an apology for the whiteness of season 1. Yeah, I'm not going to bother. I like the first season. I don't like the books. I thought the book was, ugh. So I like season 1. I like the style of it. I mean, that does matter to me. I like good style, but I think Joel Kinnaman is a good actor who needs to get more work. Thank you, Zachary. Thank you, Oberon. Gamer Zapocalypse. Gamer Zapocalypse has become a member at the Jaloja level. Welcome, and Jaloja. Oh, public service announcement from Nerdrotic. Apparently, there's a rumor going around that and I can't say the name here on YouTube, and I'll explain that a little later. But you know that little beer bug that's going around. CBS actually tweeted that there's a rumor going around that if you snort cocaine and then drink bleach, that will cure you from the beer bug. Well, let me tell you, as a person who has done both in his lifetime, don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, for one, cocaine is a hell of a drug. It's very hard to kick. It can be a lot of fun. That's why it's very hard to kick. But it gets very unfun at the end. Your bank account will not like cocaine at all. Drinking bleach. I've done it 4 times. 4 times. Almost died 4 times. Don't fracking do it. Now, there was this urban legend going around that if you drank bleach, you could pass your piss test, which is horse bleep. But I did it. I was loaded at the time, and I was very young, and I'm very, very happy to still be here. And by the way, milk. You got to drink milk immediately, like a freaking gallon of it. And I don't even know how I knew that, but my throat closed on me. And I just went to the fridge and got a gallon of milk and like, I'm alive. Don't do drugs, kids. They're bad for you. Love Doctor Who for 35 years and I'm done. I'm not coming back unless they erase the Jodie run. Hashtag RIP Doctor Who. Dan Reese for Australian $5. Good day, Dan. Yes. I believe that big time toy collector Ian said he is done. And that's saying something. I am nowhere near the collector he is. I would say I'm upper tier in America as far as Doctor Who collectors go. He probably has way more vintage stuff than I am. I'm working on my vintage collection. Yeah, fuck. Did you see the look? The reason I put Noel's channel up so much in that video was the looks on Svi's, the rabbi in the bottom left-hand corner, that was Svi Levetkin. He's the looks on their faces said it all. They were gutted. They were devastated. These people were sad. And I thought that conveyed the feeling. And Noel's a passionate guy from the TARDIS zone. And he was broken up about it. And I felt that. I mean, it's, that's what the Star Wars fans felt like in The Last Jedi too. So we can all come together on that. If you're not a Doctor Who fan, just remember when you saw Luke drinking soy milk out of that titty. Same, but worse. Built into the entire narrative, they didn't just undo the mythos. They told the story in a way to mock the fandom and then tell you that the canon didn't matter. And I said that in my review. Through Ruth, Chris Chibnall said, what does canon matter? It doesn't matter. It's just more possibilities. The Doctor is no longer special. It creates giant plot holes that even the Access media are starting to recognize now. The Brain of Morbius argument is dead, so don't bring it up anymore. Bolstrek smacked that thing down like a little biatch the minute it came out. And there is no other loopholes. As a matter of fact, I'm starting to get stuff mailed to me every day that contradicts that. And I will say again, one loophole does not contradict multiple times of concrete established canon. And listen, yes, it's make-believe, but we have been watching the story of the Doctor who was originally William Hartnell. That is the original Doctor. That is what he originally looked like. Right there. There he is. I don't know if you can see it, but there he is. There's my boy right there. Just imagine if he was alive today. If you guys watched An Adventure of Space and Time, you know how much he cared for this role. I mean, I'm sure they dramatized that, but I've always heard that he was torn up, that he couldn't play the role anymore, that he loved the role. And I always had a great amount of sympathy for the guy. He didn't take care of himself. I mean, look at that dude was only 4 years older than me when he took the role. People just lived hard back then. But I have a great amount of sympathy for the man. And I'm just glad he's not around to see this right now, because this would break his heart. And I want to send a message because I know they're all watching, like Peter Davison, Sylvester McCoy, they're all watching, right? David Tennant, Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi. I don't have to worry about Peter Capaldi. I know Peter Capaldi hates this decision. He'll say it publicly. I know Peter Capaldi hates this decision. And David Tennant is friends with Jodie Whittaker, but he's also the son-in-law of Peter Davidson. He's going to come out. He's probably going to help Jodie. I would recommend that you don't. Any doctor out there, if you're worried about your legacy, if you're worried about your paycheck, you're at a crossroads right now, and it's a tough decision. I understand you have to toe the company line, so I'm not going to get on you for that. But don't support this. Don't go on Series 13 to support this, because if David Tennant, if you go on Series 13, you are signing off on this shit. And I know you're popular as hell, but that will bug people. That will bug a lot of people. They'll see you as co-signing on this. Just say no. Your legacy is perfect as it is. To me, this doesn't tarnish it because it doesn't count. But just a pro tip, unsolicited advice. No previous doctors, Paul McGann, none of you. Do not go on Series 13. When they offer you a bit part, because they're going to need to bring everybody back, Alex Kingston, just don't. Billy Piper, don't do it. Stay the hell away, because you'll just be jumping on a sinking ship. So I know we've already seen one companion come out and say, "Oh, it's the greatest thing ever." Yeah, I'm not going to listen to another damn word she says. And listen, I know she's old. She probably doesn't understand. But again, any person professionally involved with this show who goes back to Series 13 to go help their pal Jodie on this sinking ship, I think a large portion of the fan base will see that as co-signing, and they will not be happy. That means you're co-signing William Hartnell is not the first Doctor anymore. That means you will be part of that, and he is not alive to defend himself. John Pertwee will not be the third Doctor anymore. I don't know if you want to be a co-signer to that, so I don't know. I would just say, when they ask you, politely decline. Just go, I've got a scheduling conflict. I think I need to clean out my garage for the next 3 years, so I can't act on Doctor Who. Maybe some other time. And we're coming up on the 60th anniversary, too. That's not far away. Loving the content. Here's an idea. Call these current showrunners amortizers. Amortization is amortizers. Amortization is the accounting term for writing down an intangible. Okay, writing down an intangible asset. It fits these people ruining the value of their properties. Man, you're breaking out the accounting talk. And my dad was an accountant. He was a CPA. It says none ya biz for $20. Amortizing. So they're amortizers. And they're writing down the intangibility of an asset. They are. How does HBO Max feel? They probably paid a lot of money. Not as much as you think, by the way, because remember, Netflix let Doctor Who go. Amazon let Doctor Who go. It was available for HBO Max. They didn't outbid Amazon. That wasn't the case. So, that being considered, it is devalued as an IP. As a matter of fact, it has no value. I'll have to keep an eye on the collectibles market. It hasn't really been too damaged. Tenet era stuff is still somewhat pricey, and Big Finish 1/6 scale figures are pretty pricey. Good luck finding a fourth Doctor. I need a fourth Doctor hat. I have a custom hat, but I need a fourth Doctor hat. You don't even see those things on eBay, and when you do, they're $3,000. It's like, ooh, no. I got lucky and found a first Doctor for cheap. I think somebody listed it by mistake at such a low price, and I got it. Dan Reese for Australian $2. And the same goes for Star Trek. I'm done. Hashtag stay angry. Yes. Don't forget this. See, the thing is, people misunderstand the stay angry. They automatically assume that you're just angry all the time. No, you're angry at this thing. I'm a happy dude. I'm a happy dude except when it comes to Doctor Who and Star Trek. And I'm happy to come on and talk about it and commiserate with my friends. Van for $10. Never watch the show, just clips of 10 and 11 fighting larger-than-life monsters, staying compassionate, witty, and mysterious. Always believe the Doctor was half human, but this is ruined. R.I.P. You know, they actually did address that a little bit in, was it Hellbent? Yes, it was Hellbent. And they addressed it perfectly. They made it a is he half human or not? He didn't answer the question definitively. And that's the best way to approach Doctor Who. I mean, this origin is ridiculous. It's so ridiculously bad. It's hard to take seriously. It really is. What Critical Drinker said was perfect. He's all, professional writers came up with this. YouTube admitted Crowder didn't do anything wrong, says Cody Duffin for $2. He didn't do anything wrong because the videos they got on his ass about were on YouTube forever. And I have heard much, much worse in other places. And I have heard the person he is talking to say worse. And now he's on YouTube, and I bet he's monetized. Yeah, it's effed up what happened to Crowder. It is. And that's why and listen, he got a lot of Mug Club members, and he has people supporting him who don't even support his politics. And that's people rallying around free speech and free expression. We don't always have to agree on everything, but stop demonizing everybody, for Christ's sake. You know, when I occasionally use the term NPC or SJW, I mean a very small group of people. Okay, I do not mean my friends on the left, whom I have a lot of. Some of them are kind of mad at me right now. And the guy who bought my store doesn't like me anymore. Somehow I live on, though. Jack Ashcraft for $5. After 37 years, I'm completely done with Doctor Who. Even sold my collection. Ouch! I don't know if I can do that. Also, I'm looking forward to having you on Expedition Truth Radio on March 26th. Jack, March 26th. I could probably do that. What date is that? I mean, what date is that? What day is it? I know what goddamn date it is. A Thursday? I could maybe, if it doesn't conflict with the Exozone, because Doomcock and I are starting up the Exozone after next week again. Attaboy, but thank Jack, we'll talk. Attaboy for Australian $2.99. Katzenberg was the chairman at Disney from 84 to 94. That's right. Wasn't he part? I thought he, maybe I'm just confusing him with Geffen. I thought he had something to do with Geffen Records too. Or no, he partnered with Geffen. That's right. So he wasn't in the music industry. Thank you, Attaboy. Raging Raptor for $1.99. Chibs is Buffalo Bill wearing a doctor skin suit. Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was going to show you guys something, and I completely forgot now. But, yeah, that Quibi thing is pretty interesting. I thought that, I just loved how Robert Meyer Burnett, because he's such a nerd, he was going on the nerd angle, and he just blew right by the fact that Vox is, like, helping to fund it. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe that's what caused the whole Crowder thing. All right. Hugh Kelly is a member at the protomolecule level. Thank you very much, Hugh. I appreciate you. Project Gary, just you talking about it is helping us through the pain over here. Thank you, says Project. Listen, I got to get the Roman numerals right. So if it's X, so it's XV11, so that's 17, right? Project 17. I was right. Okay. So Project 17 for £5 says, Gary, just you talking about us is helping us through the pain over here. Thank you. Anything I can do to help, I'm sorry you guys are going through it. I really am. I love my Brits. And I don't want you going through anything. Due to the beer bug, I've had to cancel my trip. So I'm going in October now. I will be going to the UK in October. Everything's getting pushed to October. Coachella got pushed to October. And that is weird. The viewer count's jumping by 100. That's so strange. Weird. Yeah, I don't know if there's connection issues or not. But otherwise, I was going to see Danny Elfman at Coachella, which was essentially going to be an Oingo Boingo reunion, which I thought I would never see. But that's all pushed off now. So everybody stay healthy. Bob leaving is the fun with Dick and Jane effect. Bob Iger. Oh, yes. The fun with Dick and Jane effect. Oh, maybe. Maybe, Nettle Nerds. Andy P. for Australian $5. Audible is definitely cool, Gary. Go for it. I have all the Expanse, Dune, Witcher series, and so many other books for sanity. Maybe all I have left. Yes, I have all of those as well. I have the Expanse. I don't have Dune. I have The Witcher, The Expanse, A Song of Ice and Fire, Lord of the Rings, Hobbit. Oh my God, my account is filled with stuff. The Alter Carbon books, which I didn't like. And what else do I have on there? I have a huge Audible account. Mrs. Nerdrotic, hello. I'm live. She is so not paying attention to me right now. Yeah, I have a lot of stuff. Thank you, Andy P. I'm going to go ahead and do it. I have to cut him like a little video, and I got to put it in my next video. I think it's great. I get asked a lot, but I'm paranoid, and I don't want to do it. That'll be my only one probably. I'm not going to be recommending apps to you or anything. There is a good one, the VPN Surfshark that Midnight's Edge was promoting. I use that, and I was able to watch the iPlayer and then bring you Doctor Who. TV license is currently mandatory in the UK. Thought is Bojo, Boris Johnson PM, is pushing to make it optional. Imagine the impact on BBC if that happens. Many thanks for the excellent channel. Thank you, Son of Henry, for the New Zealand $10 from Middle Earth. Yes, Son of Henry, they will not be able to compete in the streaming wars at all. In any way, shape, or form. They're done if they have to compete. I would imagine, off the top of my head, you would have a couple of million subs, and that's just in the UK. Now, maybe they open it up to the world, and you get some more. And the only thing you're subbing for is live news. How many of you watch the live news on the BBC? Do you still watch that stuff? I don't watch live news at all anymore. And I tell you what, I sleep better at night. I do. If I need to know something, I'll find out. Honestly, you can find out on YouTube. I mean, this might sound pretty sad, but I get my news almost exclusively through like Tim Pool. So, and sometimes it's a little hyperbolic, and he likes to use that term. But if it's bad, I mean, I pay attention, but I don't watch any live news. I don't watch MSNBC, Fox, CNN, none of that crap. And I used to watch it all the time. And I used to be just like kind of tense, and it's gone now. And I'm so happy about that. Mick Staples for $4.90, and you're welcome, son of Henry. Thank you. Mick Staples for $4.99. If we were to see a major retcon of the Timeless Child and maybe even Jodie, what would be the ideal episode look like? What would the ideal episode look like to resurrect Doctor Who? Whew. The ideal episode would be the exact opposite of what we're seeing. I would get Jamie Matheson. I would retcon it. Listen, you want to get fans back. If the BBC was serious about getting fans back, I think it's kind of on the nose to talk about bringing back David Tennant or even Matt Smith. I am a huge proponent of giving Paul McGann a season of Doctor Who. He deserves it. The guy's been a team player. He's did some great work in Big Finish. He looks great. He sounds great. His Doctor, just in oh my God, the Night of the Doctor was great. I would give him a season, and I would use that season to retcon it. And Sisterhood of Karn, whatever. There's a million things you can use. The Master Lies, I would use that initially. And I mean, the reason they got rid of Time Lords again, it was twofold. Okay. So they made a new villain out of the Time Lords because the Time Lords were really the villain. The Time Lords represent the patriarchy. The patriarchy is the establishment, is the villain. But the thing is, the patriarchy really isn't the establishment. The establishment are the elitists. So they get their messages mixed up. Remember, Tecteun was a brave and stunning woman of science who was murdering her kid over and over again. So they got their woke messages mixed up because they wrote themselves into a woke corner because there's only about 5 woke stories to tell. I'm being oppressed by somebody. Somebody took something from me and then oppressed me. Somebody marginalized me and then oppressed me. And then I was a victim. They made the Doctor a victim. A victim. Not a hero. A victim. But those are the heroes of the SJWs and the NPCs. Victims. And then, what makes it worse is people make up victimhood now. They make shit up to be a victim. Remember when, listen, I'm not a big fan of hiding stuff either when you were either truly victimized or, being aware of your limitations. I don't want to say weaknesses, limitations. It's good to be open about stuff. Still, I don't know if you want to be proud of it. You don't want to be shamed by anything, but in turn, you don't want to wear it as a badge of honor. You want to heal and move on, recognize behaviors and stuff, heal and move on. But this doesn't promote healing. This promotes sitting and wallowing in your victimhood all the time. I mean, that's a miserable existence. It's a goddamn miserable existence. And it takes away one of the greatest stories there is out there, the redemption story. One of my favorites. I love it. I'm a sucker for a bad guy who's turned things around. That's why I loved Ashford in The Expanse. One of my favorite characters in a long, long time. He was so good. Telma ML sends me a rose. Hi, Telma. Thank you for the 99 cents on the rose. Why, thank you. It's so old school. It's like throwing roses on the stage at vaudeville or whatever. Thank you, Telma. It's good to see you. Telma ML. Adam Hansen for £2. Where does the BBC go after this era of Doctor Who? Oh, straight effing downhill. They just killed their biggest show. You guys tell me in the chat, is Top Gear relevant anymore? I see that they have new people and they don't look offensively bad like the other guys were. But quite frankly, Jeremy Clarkson was Top Gear to me. I love that show. I used to work in the auto industry and I hate cars and I like that show. Yes, it's a long story. I mean, I don't hate them. I'm just not a fan. Most people who work in the auto industry have like some sort of passion towards cars. And I feel about as passionate as car as I do about this pen right here. You know, I just don't. I have no feeling for them whatsoever. People love them though. Lejean for 500 yen. Nothing to say, but he donates 500 yen. Thank you. Or she, I'm sorry. Lejean, thank you very much. Au revoir. Trina Guthridge for $4.99. Metallica is what happens when you let your drummer do the thinking. Especially Lars. He's barely a drummer. Trina, he's barely a drummer. Sorry, I'm going to get music snob on you right now. Lars is a tennis player first that learned how to play drums later. And quite frankly, he's passable as a drummer, but barely. But think about some of the biggest bands have had some of the weakest drummers. You know, Ringo. We love Ringo. I love Ringo. I do. And I understand that he was playing his drum set backwards because of because he didn't want to be looked at as left-handed. Because left-handed people were considered freaks back then. It was the 60s, man. It was the 60s. I don't know. But I admire him for that. But he's no Neil Peart. He's no Buddy Rich. Quibi, BuzzFeed. Quibi equals BuzzFeed, the network, says Mark C. for $2. Yeah, the world needs that, right, Mark? I would rather turn off the internet forever and watch grass grow. Is BuzzFeed relevant? It's all these other older companies trying to remain relevant and not changing with the times. And Robert Meyer Burnett went over it pretty good in his live stream. Go check it out. He talks about how they tried to coin their own phrase. It's like he equated it to trying to make a cult film. I would equate it to trying to make a viral video. You can't make a viral video, obviously. Things grow organically. Here's a good equation, Mark. I'm sure you'll like this. It would be like starting a gray order, something like that. You know, starting an offshoot of the Fandom Menace. You can't start an offshoot of the Fandom Menace because nobody started the Fandom Menace. There were 3 major YouTubers who were criticizing The Last Jedi when nobody else was. And they got together, and one of them thought up a hashtag, the Fandom Menace, but the Fandom Menace had started before it was given a name. That's the important part. You can't give yourself a nickname. My nickname growing up was Beak. I'd want to have something like cooler than Beak, but my nickname was Beak because my last name is Beekler. And all my friends call me Beak. As a matter of fact, so many people called me Beak for so long. There was a large portion of my life people didn't know my first name was Gary. That has gone away, but that was a childhood nickname. You can't nickname yourself. You can't. You can give yourself a handle, I guess, but and you can't make your own hashtag movement. It either happens or the only movement you can make is the one you make in the bathroom. That's about it. Cesario JPN for $5. Reminder, folks, a parody clip for a children's charity made a better female doctor. Joanna Lumley, the great Joanna Lumley, will always be the first female Doctor Who. The first female doctor. Yes, agreed. And she did exactly what any red-blooded male would do. I was about to say American. Red-blooded international male would do if he remained straight and he turned into a woman. He did the first thing somebody would do. I never felt anything like this before. Not not a Star Wars or a Trek fan. Can't look at my Doctor Who toys anymore because it makes me sad. Past episodes are ruined for me too. Doctor Who was there for me and I feel betrayed. Says, yes. So it says Brendan Barr for Canadian $10. Don't let it take away from the past. Erase it from your mind. It's hard to unsee. And quite frankly, that's how I feel about Star Wars right now. But this was executed so poorly. It's not like Rian Johnson executed The Last Jedi well, but at least it looked like a movie. It gave me a freaking headache, but it looked like a movie. This was executed so poorly, as Clownfish TV call it. It's magic school bus soap opera drivel. Now, if the BBC sticks with this, it could make it worse, but then stop watching at this point. Just, you know what? It ended at the 50th anniversary. That's why I put that ending in my video. And, it originally had footage, but I got hit with a copyright strike. That's why my video came out a day later, because I had to re-edit it. For some reason, they didn't care about the other clips I left in there, but they really got mad at me for putting in the 50th anniversary ending. So I had to just do it in photo montage. It worked. But yeah, it sucks. Brendan, you're going through what Star Wars fans went through. And honestly, a lot of Doctor Who fans went through this when Jodie was announced because they knew it would come to this. They had it in the back of their heads. Knowing it's coming doesn't make it much better when it actually happens, though. They sacrificed something you loved right in front of you, and they did it in a horrific way. Draco Argentinius for $10. Doctor Who passed away due to a highly virulent progressivism, virulent progressivism strain that strangled the formerly strong story. BBC decided to support disease rather than patient. Their malpractice yet to be litigated. Oh, yes, their malpractice yet to be litigated. Well, it's almost, Draco, it's almost like it suffers from an STD, just like Star Trek is suffering right now. It's been infected. It's beyond infected. Doctor Who has been slayed. It's been exterminated. Doctor Who has been exterminated. The Daleks won. The BBC were the Daleks. Thank you for the $10, Draco. Progressivismus. I'm trying to figure out progressive-ismus. Virulent. Sometimes, when you get cutesy with the words, it's very hard for the person who has a hard time reading the words. Sorry, it's my bad. Lady Miss for $50. In the beginning, you said you don't watch this, and I hate. In the beginning, you said don't watch this, and I heeded your advice and didn't watch this season or the last of Doctor Who. I will now have the memory of a great show untarnished by the latest death throes the last 2 seasons have made. Lady Mist, thank you for the $50. Wow. Yes, you are free, and I hope. Do not watch this. If you care about Doctor Who at all and you haven't seen this, don't watch it. Walk away. It'll remain pure in your mind. The only thing that helps is the only semi-recognizable thing in this entire show was the Jadoon, the exterior of the TARDIS. The interior of the TARDIS is a joke. You notice they try to color scheme it in between Matt Smith and David Tennant. Like it's a mashup of their color schemes. It's a joke. Thank you, Lady Mist, and you are free. Yes, you are free of this. John Pads for Australian $10. You can send real letters and complaints with services like Doxaway postal address at the BBC website under contact/complaints. Letters are harder to ignore and take time and resources to reply. Yes. If you want to sit down and write a letter and send it to them. I will, you can Google the address. I can't look it up right now, but maybe in my next live stream, I'll have that information up there, John Pads. I highly encourage you to send in a complaint to the BBC. Highly encourage it. Barrage them with this stuff. Show them that you're pissed. Don't watch their stuff. Don't buy their stuff. Send their complaints, especially if you pay the license. If you pay the license, you are, honestly, if I complain, they're like, it's a bloody yank. Who cares? Somebody who has to pay the license. And you know what? Get on Boris. I don't know if, what's your equivalent to your congressman over in the UK, but you have to have somebody representing your district or whatever. Can you get on their ass about it too? And get on their ass about changing the BBC like right now, because this is bullshit. And you don't have to mention Doctor Who. You can mention the news. You can mention the whole narrative. From what I heard, I don't know this for a fact. This is just from what I heard, that the BBC didn't really present both sides of the Brexit argument. We'll just say that. I'll leave it there. Is there any decent sci-fi left now? Says Eve. Ask Eve Clark for £2. Yes, The Expanse and The Orville. Absolutely. Two great shows. But nothing like Doctor Who. Doctor Who is one of the most unique stories ever told. It is so whack, and it works on so many levels. Now, there is an American company, Eve, taking a stab at Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Do not get your hopes up from this. It is a Bad Robot connected, Carlton Cuse. It's the guy who produces Jack Ryan. I mean, I'm sure that's the first person you would go to for a Hitchhiker TV show. The guy who produces Jack effing Ryan. Like basic, people like it. Like basic spy stuff. 14 Barber for £2. Mrs. Nerdrotic has done a great job with your cuts. Why, thank you. Thank you very much, 14 Barber. And yeah, you probably know you're a barber. You're a barber. Yes, she is a pro. She knows what she's been coloring hair and cutting hair for a couple decades now. Over a couple decades. Ooh, 30 years now. Darth Sweeney for £5. We still have Blake 7. BBC sold the rights 20 years ago, so they can't corrupt that one. Oh, they did. That's good. Maybe somebody good needs to take that on, but let's wait a couple of years until all this woke shit. It's going to take a couple of years for it to cycle out. It's incredibly uncool. You already see some people in Hollywood. Once you see more movie stars calling out wokeness, you'll know that the trend is truly over. Because, let's say it together, Hollywood is where trends go to die. Elizabeth Aiken for $1.99. Doctor Who, Star Wars, Star Trek were the saviors of my childhood. Yes, all three got me through very difficult times in my life. And they still do. It is going to be rough seeing doctors numbered, hearing the past being referred to, and, we always had that mystery in the back of our head that we knew wouldn't get answered. And we didn't want an answer. I was thinking when Doctor Who hits 100, each time it hits an anniversary, it gives us a little clue. Let's ask ourselves this. They just had the 50th anniversary in 2012. If there was any time to set up a Doctor origin, that was it. They were hinting to it strongly. As a matter of fact, I was very disappointed with the whole name thing. I mean, it turned out okay, but I don't know. Moffat was good at setting stuff up and really, really bad at delivering. Russell T. Davies could deliver. But if there was any opportune time to give the Doctor an origin, it was during the 50th anniversary. So let's think about this practically. What kind of sense does it make to give the Doctor an origin in its 13th season? In its 13th fucking season. And the worst part about it is nobody fucking watched it. It should have been the most hyped fucking... You saved this for an anniversary. So, is there a chance that they'll undo some of this? Yes. Is there a chance that they'll undo that the Doctor was originally a little black girl? Which is I'm sorry. That is so freaking on the nose. It's funny. It's funny. And the funniest part is The first Doctor didn't utter a line of dialogue. Not a single line of dialogue. So, but the question I'll ask you guys is, okay, say they undo everything next season. Does it make it okay? Do you think the BBC will not be woke from there on out? I mean, it would have to be, like I said, a major philosophical change at the BBC. Like, they would have to come out and apologize to the fandom. Like, we're sorry we did this. We'll change it. Which would go a long way to rebuilding your fan base and keeping your IP alive. The BBC is in denial right now. See, that's the thing, is they think that they are still in the right. They think that this will turn around. They're already having marketing meetings, and they've already had their meetings, and Chibnall has already rationalized all of this in his head. I guarantee you they've sat down and go, well, this is just a bump in the road. We'll turn things around next season. This is still a holdover from last season. This is the racists and the sexists on YouTube ruining their entertainment. This is actually good, but those YouTubers describing our stories that people already watched are ruining it for people. My stories are actually good. They actually think that. This is what they think. I'm not even, sorry, Tim Pool, there's no hyperbole. This is what they say. This is what critics say. Somehow I'm ruining the story that happened that I had no involvement in whatsoever other than watching it and reviewing it. And Critical Drinker ruined it, and Oz ruined it, and Clownfish TV ruined it, and Bulls Trek ruined it, and Noel ruined it. We all ruined it. It was actually good. And those things we pointed out, those were actually good things. It's ridiculous. I've never watched Doctor Who, but as a Star Wars fan, I feel your pain. To the British fans, I have but one piece of advice. Communicate by whatever means deemed appropriate to Parliament. Abolish the TV license, says Wayward Astronaut for $20. I abolish the TV license. Sack the BBC. Sack the effing BBC. You supported them for decades. Some of you out there, for 3-4 decades, you supported this show. You gave them tons of money, tons of your time, which is way more important. You helped them market this show. And this is how they treat you. That canon doesn't matter. It'll take a long time to build up a franchise, says Lee Anthony Daniels for $1.99. You will never see a franchise built up like this ever again. Ever again. The last franchise was probably Harry Potter. Look what happened to Game of Thrones. It buckled under its own weight. The Witcher, I don't know if it'll be a franchise. It'll be a hit show. We're talking franchise. We're talking, it goes beyond just movies or a TV show. It goes into books, action figures. Harry Potter is a franchise, and it's a major franchise that, despite crazy J.K. Rowling's revisionism, has survived. But you'll never see a Doctor Who, a Star Wars, or a Star Trek ever again. Entertainment isn't built for that anymore. It doesn't allow that much creativity anymore. If a franchise does start, it'll have to be like an independent movement, which that could happen. And it stays independent. Like you have some crazy creator who doesn't want to sell his stuff for billions of dollars and just stays in charge of it. And that could happen. I guess it could, but that's the only way. Elizabeth Atkin for $1.99. I created a channel to vent. It helped a bit. Oh, Elizabeth, I'll check it out. Yes. I mean, like vent. Vent. Come here and vent. Go vent on your own channel. It feels better. It does. Interaction is a beautiful thing. Did I ever think 10 years ago that I would be spending my time chit-chatting away with people around the world? No. This is amazing. I'll never forget that day. When I I had a rough life. So I got in a lot of trouble and I went away for a little while. When I came back, a thing called the internet existed. So when I went into the bad place, the internet did not exist. And when I came out, the internet existed. It blew my mind and I realized the world was changing. We could connect with each other. And I still didn't see like this happening. This is crazy. Jodie Whittaker, I thought it was a gag, says it all. Is that what her quote is? 200 Watt Studio? I wouldn't be surprised. For $2. I could tell you where I'd like to put the gag. Extra Spice Mikey for Extra Spice Mikey. I like that. Have a beer on me. If you're not a drinker, carrot juice. R.I.P. Doctor Who, says Extra Spicy Mikey for £5. I will purchase a coffee. My drinking days are long behind me. Extra Spice Mikey. The last beer I had was on October 24th, 1991. And some of you might not even be that old. And it was a Foster's Golden Lager. I'm very sorry to say. Inside of a church that I broke into. At least Eccleston is having the last laugh. He knows firsthand how evil the BBC is, says Jim Slows for $4.99. He does. He does, and so does Russell T. Davies. He still works with them. I don't know why. Modalicious for $2. For kids started woke editing anime in the early 2000s. Oh, 4Kids, they're the company. They started woke editing anime in the early 2000s. Yeah, the wokeness and the SJW Marvel stuff started 2003, 2004, right? When I took over the comic shop, I started noticing it then, and it slowly creeped up. A lot of the Comics Gate, I'm talking early Comics Gate, like Doug Ernst and Cummings and all those guys. They were relatively new to comics. Even your boy Zach, they had this big blind spot, and you could see your boy Zach going back and rereading these books. But in the mid-aughts, so 2003 to 2000, I'd say 12, comics were brilliant. They were great. Some of the best crap, that's not even crap, best stuff ever written. I think it was a golden age of writing for comics. The art was good. There was still money in it. And it was getting a little woke, but it wasn't bad. Not nearly as bad. And they weren't like subverting stuff. There were still heroes and there was great stories being told. And oh my God, Jeff Johns' Teen Titans run was fucking awesome. Paul Dini's Zatanna was awesome. There was so many good books coming out. And then, yeah, the wokeness happened right when I sold my shop. Coincidence? I think not. No, it's actually a coincidence. But there's a bunch of great comics out there, but it started creeping in early, Modalicious, and you know that. Wolverine, one of the, I'm blanking on his name now. He co-wrote Wolverine with Derek. Greg Rucka was one of the early pioneers. He and Gail Simone were the early pioneers of SJWism in comic books. And it's the same thing that happened to Doctor Who. So what Marvel, if you're a Doctor Who fan, you're not a comic book fan, what Doctor Who is going through right now, Marvel Comics went through. They made Captain America a Nazi. They made Captain America an effing Nazi. Now they undid it because people were pissed. And the same thing might happen to Doctor Who, but they didn't completely undo it. And they doubled, and they're still doubling down and tripling down. And things got better for a little while, but now things are going back to what they were. As a matter of fact, you're seeing a new rise of SJW Marvel returning. Just when everybody's all, it's over with, it's kind of coming back now. Dan Slott. I haven't heard from Dan Slott in a long time. Dan Slott comes out and insults a bunch of the audience. Good old Dan Slott. I'm blocked by Dan Slott. I've been blocked by him for a long, long time because I used to chirp at him about how much his Spider-Man sucked. It wasn't very respectful of me. And yeah, so I'm blocked by Dan Slott. But apparently he is back to his old ways. And I will just say that Dan Slott has impulse issues for somebody of his age should seek help for these kind of impulse issues, to where you come out and you blast a bunch of your customers like you're a 20-year-old. Like, I expect that from a 20-year-old. I don't expect it from a 50-plus-year-old guy, permanent bachelor, who's just done nothing but write comics. Nobody cares what you think about the world. And again, it goes back to what we were talking about in the last Inquisition. Writers lack experience these days. That's part of the problem. Wolverine and Cyclops share a hammock in the back of the X-Mansion. Storm leads new missions. Now Scott has time to caress hair and his bub Wolvie's chest. Grr. TC the Mandalorian for £5. And yes, what did I just say? The rise of SJW Marvel. It is coming back like a phoenix from the flames. The thing is, comic sales are crap. So, I mean, who cares? I mean, they're just going to kill it. And at this point, I think the way they're writing the X-Men right now is a sure sign that things are about to end, because they don't give a shit anymore. And they're about to roll out X-Men movies. Travels in Time, Australian $10. Colloidal silver? Colloidal silver. Ask the question, Travels in Times. Colloidal silver. Hang on. Is a mixture of substance of microscopy dispense, including a solid particle suspend throughout another substance. Yeah, dude. Yes, chemistry. Again, way too smart for me. Thank you for the super chat, though. 200 Watt Studio for $2. Rewatched Evil of the Daleks. Shows how good it was. 200 Watt Studio, we need to... I don't know, man. I haven't been able to watch any of the classic Q yet as a palate cleanser because I haven't had time. But I should watch that one. I wonder if I have that. I'll have to check and see if I have that. I don't know. Props to you, man. Hardcore, says Marius Riley for $1.99. Hardcore to you, man. And that's probably for what? Drinking bleach? Yeah, no, it was stupid. It was stupid. But that's okay. That's all right. I lived. Alien Matters for $5 says, keep it up. I will do my very best to keep it up. 200 Watt Studio. You know what? If I have it, I got to check my closet. If I have it, I'm going to watch that. Colloidal silver. I was still trying to figure out what that is. It's a chemical of some kind. Let me know in the chat what you were referring to. You don't have to give another super chat. Travels in Time. And thank you for the Australian $10. I just feel bad that I have no idea what that is, but maybe I'm misreading it. And it just jumped on me. Hang on just a second. Boop, boop, boop. There we go. Marius Riley for $9.99. Moffat and Chibnall wrote the first Doctor badly because old white man. Yeah, I'm sorry. I like Stephen Moffat. I do. But F Stephen Moffat in seasons 9 and 10 and Twice Upon a Time. F Stephen Moffat. It was just as bad. He opened the door for the Chibnall era. He laid down the foundation because he wanted to be a company guy. And I know for a fact the BBC laid down those rules because his writing is nothing like it was before. His writing is atrocious in the later seasons of Doctor Who. And the only thing that carried it was Peter Capaldi's gravitas, his panache, his charisma. But the words, I mean, like, there's Peter. I mean, I own it on Blu-ray. I don't think I'll watch half the episode. I don't think I'll watch most of the episodes. I just own it to own it. You know who I'm having a lot more respect for these days, though, is Matt Smith. I miss Matt Smith. I do. I see Arthur and the Knights, but no coconuts. Why? Well, Andreas, because the coconuts are right here. See? You can't see that? Hang on. He's got the back. I don't have, hang on. It's right next to the skull. What you're missing is Sir Lancelot. Sir Lancelot is still in a box behind me. I haven't taken that out, but the coconuts are right there. There's Terry Gilliam right there. Vince Hickey for Australian $7.99. I have always wondered why Doctor Who was canceled after Sylvester McCoy. Can you explain? Yes, the ratings were down. The BBC wanted to kill the show, and I believe it was Jonathan Nathan Turner was the producer. They had plans, but the ratings went down so much that they just axed the show. There is more drama behind it that you can see. There's tons of videos about it on YouTube. There's tons. But the BBC just thought it was time to axe the show. And it's run its course, and the ratings were down significantly from even a few years before that, when it was getting 7, 6, 8 million viewers. And and I can't explain why they decided to kill Sylvester McCoy off, because I guess a lot of people don't like Ace, a precursor to PC Doctor Who. I like Ace. I think Ace is cool. Some people didn't like her beating the Dalek with the bat. I liked it, but that's me. I thought Sylvester McCoy was a great Doctor. Great Doctor. I don't hate any of the previous Doctors at all. Especially now. Oh my God, do I love them. Jedediah Kerbal, but I mean, like, somebody from the UK can explain, who was actually there at the time and alive. Like, what was the feeling? A Doctor Who just gotten old? And tell me, well, here's Az. Az is in here right now. Like, when you were a youngster and you said you were a Doctor Who fan, did people give you shit? Or was it okay? Because, like, here in America, when we were young, if we said we were in the Star Trek, and this is prior to the 90s, nerddom started getting cool here in the 90s. It became acceptable to like comics and stuff like that. But in the early 80s, it was not acceptable. It was not cool. But we didn't care. But we would get shit. I mean, Doug, my friend Doug is in the chat. We used to get called space cadets. We used to get called the worst shit because we liked Star Trek and Hitchhiker and comic books. And we didn't give a fuck. And it's not even a choice at this point. Like, I was born a nerd. You guys were born nerds. R.I.P. for Doctor Who and Star Trek Picard, says John Murdoch for $20. Exactly. Do you still care about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., says Jedediah Kerbal for £1.99. I do not. Could care less about that show. After season 2, I thought season 2 was a good lead-in to Winter Soldier, and then the Ike Perlmutter, Kevin Feige battle began, and it went to shit. But I liked it in the beginning. I did. R.I.P. Doctor Who STP for $20. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Son of the Wolf for $12. The name Jodie in the Army is a slang term we use for a guy who bangs your wife while you're deployed. I knew I didn't like Whitaker for a reason. Jodie. Oh, you know what that's called in prison? Sancho. Your Highness was Sancho right now. Jack Oshcraft for $5. Gary, we already discussed you coming on Expedition Truth Radio by email. You agreed to that date. LOL, check your email again. Yeah, Jack, did I agree to that date? I'm sure I did. Then I'll make it if I agreed to the date. No problem. I don't, hang on. Well, I'll do that. I'm not going to do this live on the air, Jack. But I will check it out. Are you sure it was me? Did I agree? Did I say, yeah, I'll be on the 26th at a date and time? Or was it somebody representing me? But yeah, I'll be there. Don't worry about it. I'll be there. It can't contradict with my show, which is on Thursday, which is the Exozone. which I'm sure will be fine, Jack. So we'll work it out. But let's not work it out here on a live stream. Why don't you shoot me an email? Warrior64I for 20 Czechoslovakian dollars. What happened to your hair? I got a haircut. I get haircuts once in a while because it gets really long. JC, and I like going, I actually like wearing my hair extremely short because my wife is a hairdresser. So I am the last person who gets in at the hair salon. So I usually have to go a couple months. That's why I have to start wearing hats because my hair gets too long. Doctor Who Xmas special for 2020 rumored in BBC. JC, it's a fact. There's going to be a Christmas special in 2020. They've already shot it. They shot it last season to save money, and I think it's to prepare for the final season and a new Doctor, because there's going to be a new Doctor after 13, unless the ratings keep following. Then there might not be shit, and that would be a good thing. I think you need to actively do it. Our good friend Az says in there, fuck your license, get rid of it. Fuck the BBC, sack the BBC. They just pissed all over something you loved for years, supporting them, making them a lot of money. And then they decided they don't like it anymore. So you shouldn't either. So if you don't change, then fuck you anyway. And so fuck them. Keith Gardick for $20. Pim Tool is a vapid political analyst, and Chibnall has converted to the religion of peace. Says Keith Gardick for $20. Yeah, Tim. I don't know Tim. I just check out his videos once in a while. Doctor Who Christmas special. Oh, I already read that one. JC, thanks for the $2. And Keith, thank you for the $20. I will try not to be a vapid analyst. Lee Anthony Davis for $1.09 or £1.99. I apologize for my choice of words on your show. Well, why? You don't have to apologize. What? No, did I make it sound like you need to apologize for something? Absolutely not. It takes a long time to build up a franchise. I'm just going back over your last. No. If I made you feel like you need to apologize, sir, you do not ever. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, no need to apologize. Thank you again, Lee. I appreciate you. I appreciate you all. Dragon Balls 1989 it's Dragon Balls GT 1989 for $2. Audible, get Stormlight Archive anime sub greater than dub. Oh, I agree with sub greater than dub on everything. I'm about that on everything. Foreign films, anime. I'll read it. It's all good. Yeah, I'll check it out. Warrior 64. Now on Audible, I'm going to need the dub. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't understand other languages. I barely understand English. Barely. Warrior 64I for 50 Czechoslovakian dollars. How cool would it be if the Doctor fell into another universe between Tuat and season 11, between TUAT and season 11, making the alternate Gallifrey with alternate history? I don't think, no, for one, if this now they left that door open, that portal that they found the Doctor was obviously the same portal that Gallifrey came through. So it's obvious. Could they use a get out of jail free and make it an alternate universe? Sure. They did hint to that in Spyfall that there's multiple Earths. So yeah, there's still questions to be answered, and maybe they'll do each Doctor's from a different universe or so. I don't know. If you want to fix this, you say Jodie's from an alternate universe and she has no connection to the William Hartnell Doctor at all. That's how you fix it. You know how you fix Star Trek Discovery? You put it in the Kelvin timeline. That's it. Then it's fixed. It can suck all it wants over there. I no longer have a problem with it. Star Trek Picard, same thing. San Francis for $5 Canadian. Trans retcon it. Get Janeway to travel back in time. Yeah, trans retcon it. Get Janeway to travel back in time. Sorry, I invoked Janeway yesterday, but I went back to watching Voyager. Voyager needs more praise. San Francis, yeah, I don't hate Voyager. I like Voyager. Voyager's, like I said, Shakespeare compared to the shit we're getting. Thank you for the Canadian $5. Red for $1.99. Top Gear is dead. So the new hosts, they look bland. They look bland as hell. So, yeah, Top Gear is bad. Watch the Grand Tour. Cracklin for $9.99. Someone needs to create a picture of you and DC standing proudly next to each other at the edge of a cliff, going Gelogia. And each Inquisition, there could be something different being Gelogia'd on. I could probably, like an animation, okay, so what you do is something you could animate the P, right? And you could put something new at the bottom. Yeah, we can do that. Maybe Syndek can do that. Syndek has done some good stuff for us already. Redemption, like Jamie Lennon. Never mind. Says Creighton C for $1.99. Thank you, Cracklin. Jamie Lannister is on kind of a redemption arc in the books, but not in the show. No, that was called regression of character. Grimy for Australian $5. I am rewatching Star Trek, the original series. No identity politics, only great stories and engaging characters. Yeah, and guess what, Grimy? Shit was really going down back then. There were riots. Black people were not allowed to interact with white people in parts of the country. It was fucking hell for those people. That's when shit was going down. And listen, shit will always be going down. There'll always be injustice. But we are light years away from where we were and this was right around when I was born. You know, Star Trek left the air a little before I was born, about a year before I was born. So, the people who experienced that shit back then, those were the heroes. Those were the actual, people going through it. They were in it. Putting a flag on your avatar or hashtagging something doesn't make you a hero. It doesn't make you anything. MT Harrison for $2. RLM, Red Letter Media, started the Fandom Menace with Mr. Pinkett. I would agree with that, MT Harrison. Now the Fandom Menace hashtag, that's Fandom Menace 2.0, because you're not wrong, MT Harrison. I've heard that the term Fandom Menace prior to the Fandom Menace adopting it. It is Fandom Menace 2.0, and that's what I'm talking about, but you're not wrong. And it was before Red Letter Media. MT Harrison, it was before Red Letter Media. Long before. It was in forums. I heard it. I know I heard it. And I heard it before YouTube was invented. So YouTube was invented in 2005. And I heard the Fandom Menace uttered for the first time, in 2003. I think it was the first year in my comic shop. Yeah. So people were using it. I mean, it's a pretty on the nose term. Okay. Phantom Menace. But I mean, what it's known for now. But I will not argue with you that Red Letter Media are the godfathers of the critical movement on, with what we're in today on YouTube. Absolutely. I doubt they want to be a part of it. I doubt they want to be associated with it. They seem to really like to stay at multiple arm's length away from dregs like yours truly, which is fine. I don't care. I don't need to be buddies with them. I like them. I think they're good. I don't agree with them all the time, but I don't have to. I think they're, I watch when they put something out, I watch it. It's like Critical Drinker, Mahler, Red Letter Media. There's certain YouTubers you just don't miss any of their stuff, and they don't put out too much stuff. It's a sweet spot. Something I can aspire to. But like definitely, I would say they're top 3 YouTubers for me, just for me, out of my subs. John Ellis Bush for $4.99. £4.99. I tried to watch Star Wars Episode 4 for the first time since The Last Jedi. Turned it off after 20 minutes. God knows if I'll ever be able to watch Doctor Who again. I doubt it. I haven't tried yet. I can't watch Empire Strikes Back, but I'll be honest with you with the Star Wars stuff. There's only so many times you can listen to Stairway to Heaven. There's only so many times you can listen to The Wall. There's only so many times you can listen to your entire Pink Floyd collection, which I own. I own everything Pink Floyd. Every bootleg, every possible thing you can imagine Pink Floyd I own. And I had listened to it for decades. And I can't listen to it anymore. I just can't. Somebody was kind enough to send me David Gilmour live at Pompeii. And that's the first time I listened to anything Pink Floyd related in 7 years. And I used to listen to Pink Floyd every day for like 2 decades. I love Pink Floyd. Love them. And I still love them. But it's just, there's a time where you're done. Star Wars was 2.5 really great movies. All-time classic, all-timers. And then a bunch of other stuff. I'd say I can't speak for the video games, but the comics from Dark Horse and Marvel were great. Early Marvel, not in this shit now. The Zahn books, very good stuff. But there's a lot more bad than good, unfortunately. With Doctor Who, I mean, there's bad, but to me, the vast majority of Doctor Who is good. Like a much higher percentage than Star Trek and Star Wars. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the way I see it. I'm 46 and I need my eyes checked. Watching the stream on my phone, the blurry pic of Jodie, Picard's head, and the chair behind them looks like she's holding a giant. Yeah, maybe you need your eyes checked. You're watching it on your phone. That's why. The blurry pic of Jodie, Picard's head and the chair makes it look like she is holding a giant. Let me see if I can get that. I'm not watching it on my phone. Now, he's in the background. It's probably because you're watching it on your phone. And that's as clear as that picture will get of Jodie. I like that expression on her face, but the thing is, Mark, because I know you're a stickler for things, Mark. They only broadcast Doctor Who in 1080p, and I grabbed that clip off of a 1080p broadcast, and she's out of focus. But I liked the expression on her face, so I would just think, you know what, a little out of focus ain't so bad. You can imagine it like a rack focus, Mark C. Because again, I know you're very particular. Imagine it like a rack focus, and we're focusing on Picard. Now, Picard is behind the Nerdrotic right there. So, Nettled Nerds for $2. Now, when I hear exterminate, I now hear emasculate. Same thing. But Mark, my eyes are jacked, so I can't judge distance or anything. I'm lucky I can see through these things. Yeah, these glasses aren't ironic or anything. I need them. I need them this big, too. The BBC is run by shape-shifting reptilians, says Darbo Doodoo Bunky for $3. David Icke would agree with you. Thank you, Nettle Nerds. Yes, emasculate. Flavius Alicanther for £5. Hail, Gary. It's a member of Parliament. The Work For You website to contact. Okay, so your representative is a member of Parliament. They Work For You website to contact your MP. I'm hoping license fee death. Selling the IP to someone who gives a fuck. Yes, Flavius. Absolutely. Gunnar Renee Oi for 100 Norwegian krona. Brits can opt out of the BBC license if they don't have a TV Plus. Do not watch TV online. But the BBC gets money for their international stuff from bundled cable monopolies, and non-Brits can't opt out. Yes, so they're getting money from me. Yeah, they are getting money from me because I get Sling and YouTube TV. Both carry BBC America, which means they're getting money from me. So I do my part and I tell the truth. I go out and I review their show. If they produce a good show that's made for everyone, I'll tell you. If they produce tripe, vapid, contrived shit that is meant to teach us lessons. We're supposed to learn things because Doctor Who has always been about the environment. It has. And telling good sci-fi stories while sending a political message that just so happens to be partisan, but the partisans don't realize that because they think they're in the middle, or worse yet, they just think they're right. They think they're superheroes. They're running around with capes on, saving all the poor, marginalized brown people. Like I said in my review for Orphan 55, there is a scene where a person of a black girl is sitting down next to Tosin Cole's character Ryan, and they're both sucking their thumbs. That picture represents how the BBC sees you. Kudos to you, Gary. Having Clownfish TV on Friday Night Tights gave them a little bump and they reached 100,000 subs. You're a good guy. Well, I thank you, Bioman. I freaking love those. The Geeky Sparkles and Neon are good people. As a matter of fact, I'm sorry I'm going a little long. I'm stepping on the high council. We'll wrap things up in a little bit. Show you can survive this woke era just like it survived the Sixth Doctor, but it can't survive the Timeless Child retcon. Warrior 641, $50.69 Czechoslovakian. You're right. You're absolutely right. I don't think it can survive. Unless they come back next season and went, just kidding. It was all a bloody joke. Here's David Tennant to make it okay. If they just, you know what? They don't need to do a season 13. Just do an episode of Chris Chibnall apologizing, Jodie Whittaker regenerating into, pick a doctor, Sasha Dewan. And the master was the doctor, and just end the series and say you're sorry and walk away. I'll still be pissed, though. There's nothing they can do. Watch sci-fi with my family. Farscape Monday. Farscape's good. Buffy Tuesday. Futurama Wednesday. DS9 Thursday. SG1 Friday. Smallville Sunday. That's a good week. Daft Squirrel for £5. I hate the ending of Smallville. Fuck the ending of Smallville. Fuck the ending of Smallville. But I liked everything before that. I did. I used to like Smallville. Smallville, unfortunately, brought us CW. But Smallville was good. I liked it. Never thought it would work. I remember when it premiered. I was at the comic shop. I'm all, this is a dumb idea. It'll suck. And it was great. I liked it. Me and Mrs. Nerdrotic watched it all the time. Farscape is fucking great. It is a great show. Great Loner for $5. Gary, it'll be a real shame if someone stole your classic Doctor Who episodes and uploaded it to a high seas site. Wouldn't it though? Great Loner. If I accidentally let my classic Doctor Who episodes that are very accessible, and compressed perfectly, it'd be terrible. It'd be awful. By the way, my email is gary@nerdrotic.com. Sci-Fi George for $5. What's up, Sci-Fi George? Thanks to Chibnall, we now know the Doctor's real name, the cowardly Mary Sue. Exactly. For $5. Absolutely. Oh boy, it jumped on me again. Darth Mortis for $5. So having owned a comic shop, what's your most expensive and most cherished comic? Those are two different things. Darth Mortis. Two different things. Amazing Fantasy 15 in fine condition is probably my most valuable comic. That or my Batman #1, which is in fine condition. My favorite comic book. My first. It's probably worth $5. Marvel Team Up 42, The Amazing Spider-Man and Vision. 25 cents, bought it off the rack in San Marcos, California in 1974. For 25 cents. You never forget your first. I have a lot of other favorite, books. You got to ask me, it changes from time to time, but my all-time favorite run is Frank Miller's Daredevil. Is my all-time favorite run. Followed closely by, it's not a run, but it's an era. Spectacular Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man in the early 80s with Black Cat, and John Romita Jr. was working with Bob Layton. It was just good shit. Yeah. People are tired of paying for media that hates them. It adds insult to injury, says Suburban Hermit 1 for $9.99. Absolutely. And we need to stop. The thing is, we've been enabling this shit, and we need to stop. We really do. Kills pathogens, says travels in time for Australian $10. Well, thank you. So that the Collade or whatever it was kills pathogens. Organic and you drink it in mineral water kills most pathogens. Organic and you drink it in mineral water kills most pathogens. Travels in time for Australian $10. Thank you. People are gotcha. Could a source accurate HBO series for Transmetropolitan actually exist in woke times? Imagine the outrage over the filthy assistant. Love your Doctor Who vids. The master lied. Joe Martin is the Volleyard. LOL. Maybe Oz Baxter Incorporated. They did kind of give you some visual hints to that, but I don't think people are going to care. Nobody watched. Thank you for the $10. No. I actually know something about that. Transmetropolitan. No, you could. Transmetropolitan would get the boys treatment, but it would be worse because if you mess, the filthy assistant, you can't mess with Transmetropolitan. It can exist in a time like this. What's funny is the people who say they like it will be the first ones to come out against it. So SJWs will be the first ones to come out against Transmetropolitan after saying they like it. Thank you, Oz Baxter Incorporated. Gary, did you read the interview with IndieWire? Shaban and Jonathan Del Arco talk about how you can never go home again. There is no going back. Captain Spire for $5. I wouldn't be surprised because that's right in line with what they're doing with Picard, Captain Spire. Yeah, they believe that. You don't have to go back home again, but you need to have the spirit. See, you're not the thing you were before if you don't have the spirit. This isn't Star Trek. There's no Star Trek at its heart or its base or its foundation. This is, Shaban doesn't know how to fucking write TV. He's a novelist. Okay. Go look at his TV pedigree. It's shit. It's absolute shit. Boy ain't winning any Hugos. Okay. And like, he's really good in his wheelhouse. Science fiction is not his wheelhouse. It's absolutely awful. All of his stuff has to be based on something or autobiographical. Go look at all his past work. He is not a science fiction writer at all. Nowhere near it. Just because you wrote something based on comic books doesn't mean you can write fucking Star Trek. Hell no. Modelicious for $2. The first blow-up doll doctor played by Jodie Sancho. Yes. Speaking of which, I got to bring my inflatable Dalek up. I know I promised that. Thank you, Modelicious. Andrew Gordon for $4.99. So sad to see. Been watching since I was 5 years old. 16 years of fandom. How now good for naught. Thanks, Jody. P.S. Tennant did it best. He did, Andrew. Yeah, I'm sorry. For $4.99. Oz Baxter for $10. Why was Peter Capaldi in my opinion, the most talented dramatic actor cast in the role? Wasted on Moffat's Hangover era. Much like not knowing what potential Colin Baker could have had, I weep for 12's era. Yeah, you should. It's a long story, but I'll try to make it quick. The regime changed at the BBC, which was the precursor to what we're getting now. Peter Moffat at the time was also getting ruined by a couple of blue check marks on Twitter calling him sexist, and he's super thin-skinned, and it got into his head, and he just decided to write safe. So that's what screwed up Capaldi's era. I would say he was the best dramatic actor, but I still say the best dramatic performance was Eccleston. Now, Capaldi had some stuff. There's people who argue with me on that, and that's fine. I wish we could go back to those debates, to be honest with you. Dragon Ball Z GT 1989 for $5. Stormlight Archive is epic. Characters' power is tied to them growing as a person. Audible voice actor also has the best voice for the Stormfather. I will check it out. That sounds brilliant. I love a good audio book. Thank you for helping us through the dark times. Hashtag RIP Doctor Who. Jack McKinstry. Sorry, Jack. Thank you. You're helping me. Thank you for the £4.99. Cracklin for $1.99. Waiting for drool to leak from Jodie's open mouth. Yeah, but see, she's not human, so she doesn't have any moisture in there. Nah, that's mean. I'm sorry. I take that back. She should just learn to emote a little better. Wanted to pop in and support the channel. Thanks, G. Ashley Harmon, thank you so much. It's nice to see you, Ashley, and your smiling face and your avatar. Thank you for the $1.99. Red for £4.99. Watch all of these franchises hire Dan and Dave so everybody can kind of forget what happened, right? I kind of forgot. Danny kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet, even though she was told about it in the previous episode. Andrew Goff for £2. Thank you for the donation, Andrew. I appreciate it. Robert Levito for $5. Hey, Gary, looking forward to listening to you while cruising the interstate tonight. Keep up the good work and greetings from the Midwest. Oh, cool. So you're driving. Well, let me recommend, because I'm about to leave. But Robert, go over to Nerdrotic Live, because that's where all of my live streams go. I'm about to post part 2 of the Inquisition if you missed it. And that's like 5 hours. So that'll get you through any drive. I posted part 1 up there. Part 2 is going to get posted, and then I'll post this. Like your thumbnail. Want soy with that latte? Oh, yes. Richard Gray, thank you for the $1.99. Soy latte. Make it soy #1. What's the best way to get most perks? Oh, YouTube or Patreon? Tristan White for £2. Patreon, I do live streams. I'm not doing enough. I've been really just completely overwhelmed with stuff going on right now, but that's done. But Patreon's the best. I haven't even gotten the badges ready. I've been so fucking behind on everything, but Patreon's the best. I'm probably going to redo the perks on the membership. Just because my time I'm going to make it probably cheaper for everybody. But the best are on Patreon because I do little reviews, and I also post, my audio theater. So I share a lot of my audiobooks. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that, but I do it. I do it. So you have access to Song of Ice and Fire, Lord of the Rings, stuff like that. And then I review it. I will be reviewing, Shadows of the Past, within the next 48 hours, which is from the BBC radio series. I am a huge, huge fan of the BBC Lord of the Rings radio series done by Ian Holm. It's one of my favorite things in the world. I love it. I think it's so well done. And I'm going to review it. I don't know if anybody's even done that on YouTube. I'm sure, but, I'm going to review it. So you get early access on Patreon. It stays up for a month, and then I put it on Nerdrotic Live. Raymond Cuddle, thank you for the $2. And Tristan White, thank you for the interest for the £2. Just being here is good. Just subscribing, hanging out. I appreciate your guys' time. Anything. Think we'll ever get an animated adaptation of The Long Halloween or Death in the Family? Brian Snell for $5. Yes, we will. Eventually. But I think they're holding off on it because I think they might want to adapt that into film. I'm surprised they haven't done it already, to be honest with you. Long Halloween is brilliant. So is Death in the Family. I liked it too. Robert Levito for $2. 5 hours is about half of my drive in a semi, LOL. All right, Robert, I will post that for you. It'll be up in an hour, okay? It's a good show. The only reason it wasn't on Nerdrotic Live sooner is because YouTube wouldn't let me download it for a day. And I wasn't going to screen record 6 hours of live stream. So, all right. So I'm going to check out if I missed anybody's super chat. I will make up for it tomorrow. I will be live tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific time for Brits. And we're going to continue the conversation. There's more to talk about, and apologies to the High Council. I went an hour into their show and I didn't mean to do that, but I had the live stream today. So, and they don't talk about Doctor Who. We were talking about Doctor Who. So go over to the High Council. I don't know. I think it's on Jeff's channel, World Class Bullshitters. And I think Clownfish TV's on there. And tell them I sent you. And have a wonderful, wonderful night. And thank you for all the super chats. Thank you to the Nerdrotics. Thank you to all the new members. Noel, have a great night, buddy. And according to Christy, and thanks for letting me use your footage in my video. And Chris Persia, thank you so much. Who else is here? Do we have anybody else? If I missed any other Nerdrotics, you know I love you guys. I love you guys. And remember, not all who wander are lost.